Happy New Year. Happy first day of 2023. Welcome back to Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. And today, like every single weekday, we are coming at you live from our studio in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. In today's show, we're going to be covering a lot of content, including various predictions for 2023. Also, Cameron Winklevoss of Gemini is going toe-to-toe with Barry Silbert of DCG. Seems like a deadline has been given. We'll talk about that and much, much more. But I'd like to introduce you to your other co-host, Big Rob. What's up?
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, boring, stale information, package it up in a fun and sexy way. Did you notice anything different today?
Yeah, you look uglier than usual. No hat, huh?
No hat, man.
Okay. I know you were kind of teetering on it, but
Yeah, no hat, man.
so no hat for the rest of the life, or what?
No, I still wear hats at home, man. You know,
I mean, on the stream.
No, on the stream, no. I think
Hats are
I
gone.
think we're gonna move in a new direction. So
What about
new
National Hat
Year?
What about National Hat Day?
National Hat, sure.
Will you wear a hat?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, my genetics gave me these beautiful locks of hair on top of my head.
Of course,
so
it always comes back. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you like Robin with no hat. Put a 2 in the chat if you want the hat back.
If you are an OG here at Sin City Crypto, you might be familiar with something. When your boy had hair, he used to do something. Oh, looking sweet.
Oh my God.
How you doing?
All right. Let's just not bring that back. I think outside of that, everything's fine. All right, guys. Again, Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a great New Year. Hope you stayed safe. Hope you weren't these people. So this is a fireworks show in San Diego where a computer glitch caused a supposed 18-minute show to go off in literally 25 seconds. And this is what it looked like. So this was supposed to be over a course of 18 minutes and it just all went off.
This seems like the vesting schedule for new projects. Like
The token unlocks?
they're gonna release the tokens over the course of 5 years. And then as soon as the token launches, they just all get dumped on the market, right?
Also, just to cheer up your guys' day, this is us this year, us collectively jumping into new trades in 2023. We're ready? All right, we got to figure it out. All right, we're going Bitcoin long, Bitcoin long. All right, let's go Bitcoin long. All right, Bitcoin's ready to go up. Ready up, and Bitcoin went down. So,
Kind of looks like SBF, no?
I don't think he's vegan though. This guy's not vegan.
Dude, do you think he hit his backside or
Have
the
you-
reproductive system?
Okay, all jokes aside, have you ever messed up your tailbone? Dude, that is one of the worst pains
Dude, man,
ever.
It's terrible. That because it hits the bottom of the spine and it's like a piano chord, bro. That thing vibrates all the way to your neck, man. You're like I hit my ass.
Oh man, guys, how was your New Year? Let us know how was your New Year. Did you guys do anything fun? Did anything crazy happen? We'd love to know. Also, I hope you guys got a chance to watch our. First of all, let me pull this up real quick. So I want to give a very sincere and amazing recognition to our man Kyler. Kyler, put yourself on the screen, my friend. So this guy spent hours and days putting this video together for our community. So this is our 2022 year in a wrap up. And Kyler, you want to go ahead and throw that on the screen, throw the computer, and then have 3 of us on there so everyone can see. So this is our 2022 year wrap up, 15 minutes long, kind of highlighting how, and if you're new to the channel, I definitely recommend you watching this. Kind of will give you an idea of where we started, how far we've come along, and how far we have yet to go. And so this was such a good video. I showed it to every single person in my family.
Let's play a little bit of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we can play a little bit of it.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't know, video editing, it's a lot. It takes a lot of time, and so here's just a little snippet of it. But you guys should definitely go watch this after the show.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome.
2022 has been a pretty crazy year. We've seen a lot of business growth. I've personally seen a lot of personal growth in myself. I've seen a lot of personal growth in Robin and Kyler and Rocco. And so this is our first full year in the YouTube game, and I'm pretty happy.
And hope that
This is a highlight.
To see NFT dressed like he's going to prom.
So one of Lifer's community members gave everyone a bald head.
Go full screen.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that was there.
Anyways, yeah, this is. By the way, Crypto Keeper ended up taking his shirt off also. And this is probably one of my favorites.
Are we talking
Jenna, XRP Jenna. We love her. We're bringing her back on the show. She didn't know we were kidding. She's like, that's not Michael Saylor.
We got Michael Saylor in house here. In case you
What?
What?
Yeah, look at right here. Come right above me.
That's not Michael Saylor. That is not Michael Saylor. You cannot fool me.
Dude,
Nice try, guys.
I
Nice
was
try.
trying so hard to stay in character,
Like,
but
you cannot fool me.
I was trying so hard to stay in character, but it was difficult, man. So, anyways, guys, big shout out to Kyler. Thank you so much. What an amazing video. Go watch it after our live show if you haven't seen it already. Pretty good. So, all right, let's jump in. So, a couple things I want to go over. First and foremost, I want to go over this right here. So, pretty big news. Hong Kong is going to be offering retail Bitcoin trading as the country finalizes friendly legislation. So we're going to get into 2023 crypto predictions. We have some from Peter Schiff, Vitalik Buterin, the WEF or the IMF, one of the two. Also, our man Forrest, his Forrest Fast 5 video we're going to be doing every Monday. And then you might get a couple from us here as well. But these are things to keep an eye on, guys. I think this year, we're going to see a lot more countries, companies of the likes start adopting crypto, at least lay the groundwork to bring it into their portfolios or start offering to their clients. And so here we go, Hong Kong kicking it off. Also, looks like Sam Bankman-Fried is out of the woodworks from the basement of his parents' home as he sent out a tweet on December 30th. So there was news that Alameda wallets were moving money. They were sending these tokens and converting them to BTC and then sending them through mixers. And so he did tweet and say, none of these are me. I'm not and couldn't be moving any of these funds. I don't have access to them. I'd love to believe the guy, but I don't know. I'm having trust issues here. Do you believe him, Robin, that this wasn't him?
I'd say it's 50-50. I do think that, there was a lot of people there that had access. So could it be somebody else? Sure.
There's a couple people.
I'm probably 50-50. I mean,
like that Dan Friedberg guy. I don't think we haven't talked about him. There's been no news on the guy. He hasn't been caught. No plea. I mean, I don't know. The guy was pretty high up there. Maybe he has access to it. But
yeah, I mean, it's all speculative right now. I just put it this way. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. It wouldn't surprise me if he was the one. And at the same time, wouldn't surprise me if it was somebody else inside the company. So
yeah. Either way, funds are moving.
I just feel like, don't you feel like Sam Bankman-Fried sitting in his mom's basement, in his parents' basement, like on the couch playing video games, yelling at his mom, like, "Mom,
no.
can you bring me some more cup of noodle?"
No, Ma, the meatloaf.
The meatloaf
What movie was that from?
from Wedding Crashers.
The Wedding Crashers. Yes.
I just never know what she's doing back there.
All jokes aside, so he's got his arraignment in tomorrow, January 3rd. He's going to be arraigned, which means the judge will say, "Hey, this is what we're charging you with." And
when's his plea deal?
Well,
Is that
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's news that he's going to plead not guilty. There's also news he's going to take a plea deal.
Do you think that he's going to? Do you think there's some info that'll come out?
Oh, yeah.
On somebody else? You think he's going to rat on somebody else?
I think that just depends, man. Is he just going to plead not guilty and go to trial?
No. I think from the sounds of it, for all indications,
if he takes a plea deal,
all
100%.
indications point to a plea deal.
And then he will definitely.
So I think right now you're just kind of questioning: is it a plea deal for less time? You're just pleading guilty, and you're trying to avoid over 100 years in jail and have some freedom at some point in time in your life, or do you got some dirt on somebody else? And you're over here with the DOJ talking about, hey man, you think I'm the big fish? There's bigger fish out there. And maybe he takes 10 years and flips on somebody, right? That for me would be what I want. Not because I personally want it, but it would make for such good content, right? Like all of a sudden, Gary Gensler was complicit with some of the illegal activities with FTX, or perhaps congressman, maybe the chair of the CFTC. Did have meetings there and communications with. You remember the email that what was it? The MLB. Remember it was in regards to MLB with the chairman of the CFTC.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man, there could be a lot of connections,
Who knows how
backdoor
high this thing
deals,
goes up?
briberies, handshakes, and you pat my back, scratch your back, whatever it is. Money. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think there's so many more layers that we don't even know that will slowly play out, which is why a lot of people, including myself, don't think the SBF and FTX contagion, so to say, is over. I still think we're going to see a couple more mining companies either get bought out or liquidate. Well, not liquidate, but at least reorganize the bigger ones. We've already seen Core Scientific go through it. And we still have Barry Silbert, DCG, and Genesis kind of in limbo. And we're going to get to that in a minute here. Talk about what Cameron Winklevoss from Gemini said and what Barry Silbert replied to that. But before we get into that, let's jump into the markets real quick. Take a look at what the markets are doing. Robin, take it away.
All right, just a quick little love to the chat, though, real quick. We have a few new people, or a couple new people, actually. If you are new here, say hello, so that way I can drop an hola back at you. But we got this Verber Bunt, Possession ETH, and also Dennis Jung, Rob S., and Frank Codispati, Jalden 1980. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, Wheelin' Dealin' James Wheeler is in the chat, and he says he wishes us a happy 2023. This is one of our long-term buddies. And also,
Wheelin' Dealin'.
Satoshi Nakamoto is here as well.
Satoshi's here?
He's here.
What's up, mate? Hey, just don't move your wallet, okay?
And then also, guys, if you guys help us out with the chat, I need to fix this sign, man.
You need to just get rid of the sign.
Can we just like build a high-end one? Somebody in the chat, if there are any carpenters
You know who
here,
would build one for us? G.
yeah, we should have talked to G. But anyways, hit the like button sign. That way we can get some people up in here. And then also, let's get into the markets. So, taking a quick look, we got Bitcoin at $16,719. A little bit to the upside from where we were over the weekend. We were around the 16.5, so $200 move. Nothing too dramatic, but we are trending in the right direction. So you know what that means, right? It means for the year, we're in the green, right?
We're in the green.
We are in the green for the year, baby. How you doing?
Yay.
So starting the year off
Only
right.
366 more days to go.
Yeah.
I know.
Did you
I know. It was a
66?
joke.
Okay. So taking a look at the rest of the market, you know who else is up quite significantly?
Solana.
Solana is a big bounce back for Solana, up 11.5% on the 24 hours. As you can see here, went from $9.80 up to $11. So some big movement in Solana today. And then it did get as low as $8.10.
I think the biggest question mark for me with Solana is, do I think developers can come back? Yes. Do I think the chain can survive? Absolutely.
Can they keep up with competition?
Yeah, but my biggest question is, what would Solana have looked like without Alameda and FTX manipulating the markets? What would their all-time high have been? What kind of adoption would it have
But
gotten?
it doesn't change the fundamental core issues that Solana's had.
You think it would be higher or lower?
I think it'd be lower.
I think it'd be lower too.
But how much lower? Would it be $100? Would it have topped that at 80?
I mean, obviously, if it would have
Because we're talking about from 11 to 260, you're talking about a 20x. From $11 to $100, that's a 10x. Maybe not worth the risk. 25x might be worth the risk.
Yeah.
What's up with the computer screen here?
Oh, it's on mine. On my bed. I was over here messing around with the chat. You got to see the behind the scenes.
Behind the stage.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know what Solana would have looked like without FTX. I mean, that's all like, what would I look like if I would have
And smart? I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Anyways, so Solana up. Some of the other biggest gainers, Lido,
Lido, I'm happy you
up
brought up
13%.
I'm happy you brought up Lido.
Yeah.
So this was big news in the space today, and I'm going to swap over to my laptop here. So Lido took over MakerDAO as the #1 in total value locked across all of DeFi. So they're up 1.46% over the last day, now approaching $6 billion in total value locked for Lido. And of course, this is a multi-chain Ethereum, Solana, Moonbeam, Moonriver, and of course, Terra Classic. But hey, man, MakerDAO, these are still the top two, right? You're looking at 12 out of $40 billion is in Lido and MakerDAO combined. A little surprised Curve Finance dropped down to #4, but Aave's making a move up too, 3.74 billion. I believe that just flipped as well. And so what's the commonality we're seeing here? A lot of Ethereum, guys, a lot of ETH. But I'm a little less bullish on ETH now than I was a few months ago. And I don't know, we'll talk about that maybe here in a little bit. But taking a look at Bitcoin on the chart. So this is a 30-minute chart on Bitcoin. A few levels here. So we're currently sitting at 16,700. We do have decent support at 16,625. If we drop below that, we should catch a wick back up at 16.5. And if we do break the 16,739, we should see a move up to 16,900. Now, those levels aren't super stretched out as far as price, but this is a 30-minute chart. So a little more on the micro side. RSI is hovering right around 60, which is more to the overbought than oversold, but shouldn't be an issue. And then as far as liquidations, we have seen $71 million in crypto being liquidated over the last 24 hours, with ETH leading the way with 30% of that, more than 30% of that. So $20 million worth of ETH has been liquidated, followed by Litecoin, Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana. But good news, majority of these have been shorts. About 82% of them have been shorts. Well, actually, let me swap over to the 24-hour. So 84% of the liquidations of the 71 million have been shorts, with the highest coming on OKX with 89%. Or sorry, BitMEX, 98.9%. So some things to look at. And that's all I got. Oh, one more thing. I'll talk about mining. So Bitcoin mining, right? Too much energy. It harms the world. Well, here are some interesting headlines I want to share with you guys. It kind of puts things into perspective, right? So these are broken up. There's, I believe, 8 or 10 of these, right? So starting on the top left, in New York, Bitcoin mining saved the oldest working hydroelectric plant. Jack Dorsey backs Bitcoin mining company that wants to bring 25-cent electricity to rural Africa. How Bitcoin contributions funded a $1.4 million solar installation in Zimbabwe. Crypto miners help ERCOT keep renewable energy operational. Canadian city becomes first to be heated through Bitcoin mining. We know that's an issue in Europe, and so on and so forth. So when you hear, they always want to talk about the negatives. There's negatives to everything. Everything in life, there is a negative and a positive side. And if you just choose to focus on the negative, you can manipulate, the narrative to be that. But you have to look at the other side as well. And that's what a lot of people who are so against Bitcoin mining, it's bad for the environment, or anti-crypto, anti-Bitcoin, that is what they hang their hats on. But they'll never look at the stuff we just showed you. What are your thoughts on this whole that whole situation before we move on?
Between the mining?
Yeah, there's some interesting them saving
I think it could. I don't know. Okay, this way. I think that it could help emerging countries that have a lack of energy infrastructure. If you could build a if you have a hydroelectric dam you could build, for example, and the cost of it would be too great for the area, but the need is still there. And so, hey, we need power for the citizens of that region. but we can't afford to build a hydroelectric dam. Why don't we just build a hydroelectric dam, use the money use all the surplus energy, mine Bitcoin, and then all the extra energy can go to the community, right?
You're saying like get a Bitcoin company to finance
Yes.
building the dam.
Yes, like a subsidy.
Well, they're doing that anyways. That's what I'm saying.
That's what. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like my big takeaway there is that we could see
They're going to
more
spend
of
the
that.
money.
Yeah, and so if you can build renewable energy, it doesn't even have to be renewable, but obviously with Bitcoin, it's such a hot button topic. You could build a renewable energy source that provides a surplus for the region. It accommodates the region's energy needs, has extra, and the cost to build it can be picked up by the company that is trying to mine. It's a win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But now the only thing is a project that large takes years to build out. So to build a hydroelectric dam, it's not like you pop one of those up in a year. So you would have to have a long-term vision on the mining. And we see that, there's a lot of things that are in question when it comes to long-term in Bitcoin. We believe in Bitcoin long-term, but, it's easy to try to generate capital or revenue and be like, hey, Bitcoin's our business model. And then somebody could easily be like, well, look how the price has done over the last 2 years. The last year and a half, Bitcoin was at, 65,000. Now it's at 16,000. And, could an economy survive 3 years down, right?
Interesting conversation to have.
I don't know. I'm just saying infrastructure takes a while to build out, but I think it's a very viable situation, right?
Well, here's the thing. You got to remember, right?
Build infrastructure for the citizens with extra energy that pours over to Bitcoin. I think it makes sense.
Multiple streams of income.
Here's the thing, too, man, is what motivates a company more than money, right? And if they understand that maybe they'll get, I'm not saying they'll get favorable regulatory, but let's say a state decides, hey, we need help with our infrastructure, like I don't know what state, California or something. You bring these miners in, you incentivize them to come in there and mine there. I don't know, give them a tax break for 2 years or whatever the case may be. Let them spend the money to build the infrastructure and then feed some of that into your. I don't even know what it would look like, but we see what happened in Portugal, or was it Portugal? Yeah, Portugal, where they were enticing people to come there. Hey, no, don't pay taxes on your Bitcoin. They're trying to bring wealth to the country, and in turn, hopefully, that some of that wealth will spill over into their economy. Same kind of idea with mining. They got the money, right? Well, maybe not a lot of them right now, but if you incentivize them, they're still buying miners. They're still going to buy. They're still going to build, right? They're still going to have hosting sites. And if you bring them to your state, as you saw that we showed you in the little picture clip of the little headlines. I mean, who knows what it could do for your state? And so, Texas sees it. They're super pro Bitcoin mining, but we'll see. You got anything else on the markets, Robin, before we move on?
Not too much, man.
No?
Ton of coins down. About it.
Magic Internet Money's here. What's up, Magic? I believe Magic's coming on tomorrow. Magic will be joining us tomorrow to do some TA. We're super excited. We love Magic. Magic's awesome. All right, let's jump in. Before we get into predictions, let's jump into Cameron Winklevoss. No, we ain't talking about the water. We're talking about the Gemini. He just tweeted this morning at 6 a.m, an open letter to Barry Silbert. Interesting. So I'm just going to read it pretty quickly. Barry, today marks 47 days since Genesis halted withdrawals. I'm writing on behalf of more than 340,000 earned users who are looking for answers. These aren't just numbers. These are human beings. Talks about people entrusted more than $900 million with you. They deserve concrete answers, and we are here to get them. For the past 6 weeks, we have done everything we can to engage with you in a good faith and collaborative manner in order to reach a consensual resolution for you to pay back the $900 million that you owe while helping you preserve your business. We appreciate that there are startup costs to any restructuring, and at times things don't go as fast. However, it is now becoming clear that you have been engaging in bad faith stall tactics. For example, on December 2nd, we expressed our belief that getting everyone in a room together as soon as possible will be the most productive path towards a resolution. You agreed, but stated you would only do so after there was a proposal on the table. On December 17th, a proposal was delivered to you. On the 25th, an updated version of this proposal was delivered to you. Despite this, you continue to refuse to get into a room with us to hash out a resolution. In addition, you continue to refuse to agree to a timeline with milestones. Every time we ask you for tangible engagement, you hide behind lawyers, investment bankers, and process. After 6 weeks, your behavior is not only completely unacceptable, it is unconscionable. The idea in your head that you can quietly hide in your ivory tower and that this will all just magically go away, or that it's someone else's problem, is pure fantasy. To be clear, this mess is entirely of your own making. DCG owes Genesis $1.675 billion. This is money that Genesis owes to earn users and other creditors. You took this money to fuel greedy share buybacks, illiquid venture investments, and kamikaze grayscale NAV trades that balloon the fee-generating assets under management of your trust, all of the expense of creditors and for your own personal gain. It is now time for you to take responsibility and do the right thing. It goes on to say, it is not lost on us that you started your career as a bankruptcy restructuring associate, and it's not lost on us that you've been working desperately trying to firewall DCG from the problems that you created at Genesis. So Barry Silbert, and this goes on, there's another half
And then
page.
also Felix Cepeda in the chat says he wants to know if DCG goes down and others, what price should we expect from Bitcoin? And then he said he'll start shorting. We'll get into
I
that
think
in a minute.
we have an article about DCG and Grayscale. I think the biggest thing is Grayscale. Grayscale, Foundry is a big one too. Foundries does a lot in Bitcoin mining hosting. If that goes under, that's bad news as well. DCG got their hand in a lot of things, but I feel like DCG is a little different, and they have more assets and companies that they can sell off. And I'm sure there are plenty of companies that would be more than happy to take over something like the Foundry
Do you
or
think?
GBTC.
Do you think that these two are interconnected? DCG with you also take into account the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust.
Of course, they're one company.
No, I'm saying
Like intermingled.
those two. So DCG and Genesis and Gemini. Do you think that they're all like interconnected financially? Like they are borrowing money from each other. They have leverage between
Well, we
each other.
know what Gemini was using Genesis for, right? And as far as Genesis and DCG, yeah, absolutely. They kept.
So do you think that one of these dominoes fall, all four fall?
I don't think Gemini falls. I think if Gemini was going to fall, they would have already fell. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, just interesting.
I feel like when you have a $900 million hole, as far as what you owe your earn customers,
out of all four of those, Grayscale's probably the safest bet to come out, right?
yeah, and
So
we'll get into why we think that.
So
is.
at the end of the year, let's just say 2024 is here. Is Genesis gone, or at least bankrupt? And
I think so. I think DCG.
filing for
I think
bankruptcy?
DCG.
And you think
bankrupt.
DCG's gone too?
Yeah.
And then
Or at
do you
least
think-
restructured, or at least they'll have to sell off
And you
something.
think Gemini will still be in operation?
I think so. Look, if
You think Grayscale will still hold Bitcoin Trust?
we'll get into that here in a second. Yeah,
This
I
is a
don't
prediction show, so I want to know what you're thinking
Look,
about.
I do not think. I think if DCG goes under, people are going to panic. I don't think 600,000 Bitcoin is going to get liquidated from Grayscale. I think someone will buy those assets. Someone will buy it.
It definitely won't get liquidated.
Yeah.
It'll just
So-
transfer ownership. But
But what that new company will do with that ownership and whether they'll do withdrawal redeems, that remains to be seen. But I think Gemini's fine. I think if Gemini were to go under, they would have already done so. They had a massive run on the bank for them.
so you don't think that Gemini had some of their own capital locked up into Genesis?
Probably, but a lot of companies probably did.
But probably Gemini had the most out of anybody because it seems like they were the one leveraging it the most for their users. And if their users are leveraging it, I'm sure they were probably leveraging it as well. So how underwater it, because you agree that Gemini had some exposure to Genesis, right? I mean, it's their own freaking, they're using it for their customers. I mean, they gotta have some money locked up in there, right?
You figure they would, yeah.
And so, yeah, man.
So what is a chat thing? Just in general, throw your comments out there. Also, if you have any, if you have a 2023 prediction, throw it in the chat, and if it's a good one, we'll share it with everyone on the stream. All right, so back to the letter. Compliments of Mr. Winklevoss. We did have Barry Silbert actually reply. Not now, guy. So Barry Silbert, which is the founder of DCG, said DCG did not borrow 1.67 from Genesis, $1 billion. DCG has never missed an interest payment and is current on all loans outstanding, and the next loan maturity is May of 2023. DCG delivered to Genesis and your advisors a proposal on December 29th and has not received any response, to which Cameron responded, "There you go again. Stop trying to pretend that you and DCG are innocent bystanders and had nothing to do with creating this mess. It's completely disingenuous. So how does DCG owe Genesis $1.67 billion if it didn't borrow the money? All right, that promissory note." And let's see if, he said, "Will you or will you not commit to solving this by January 8th in a manner that treats the $1.1 billion promissory note as $1.1 billion? So it seems, and a lot of people are like, well, why January 8th? What's up with January 8th? I don't know the significance of that date. Maybe Robin does.
I don't.
But guys, at least, I mean, who are you believing in this, right? Are you believing Cameron Winklevoss that, hey, we haven't heard anything from Barry Silbert? Or are you believing Barry Silbert say, hey, we sent a proposal on the 29th. We haven't heard anything.
But here's the thing.
Which that was 3 days ago.
If you lend out your assets to a company to rehypothecate and get returns, you got to understand there's risk there, right? I mean, I get it when people locked up at the time, there wasn't so much in question when it comes to, hey, am I going to get impermanent loss? Like, is this all going to get rugged? Like, I get it. You probably didn't think that was actually going to happen, but you got to understand there's risk there, right? If I lend somebody money out, they're like, hey man, let me borrow $100, man. I'll give you $150 back. Like, that's exactly what happened, right?
I get people that ask to borrow money from me all the time, and I will never lend it out, even if you're my mom.
But why? Why?
But no. Listen, I wasn't saying I wasn't done. I was saying I will never lend it out unless I feel comfortable of not ever getting that money back again.
Exactly. So then why would you have a different philosophy when it comes to a corporation versus a person? Corporations do the same thing, and it's in an unregulated industry as well. So it's not like there's nobody there making sure that they have to stick to their word or keep their business model. And we know that you can always fall behind bankruptcy, man. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, you know what? You're better off just holding your own crypto, man. Whatever 8%, 10%.
Just stake on chain, man. You like, there's plenty of great projects out there that you can stake and make 3%, 4%, 5%.
Or how about this? Just put it in a hardware wallet and stick it in your drawer.
Or use a truly decentralized platform like Aave.
Or just don't stake it all.
Or just
remove every point.
Just put all your money in Bank of America. Get that 0.02%.
Cardano.
Just remove all points of failure, all risk associated. Just remove all of it. And here's the thing. If you buy Bitcoin right now, whatever it is, say 1 Bitcoin, half a Bitcoin, a quarter of a Bitcoin, whatever it is, buy that, set it aside. Don't touch it for 4 years. What do you think is going to generate more returns? 2% in a yield program, 5% in a yield program, 10% in a yield program, 20% in a yield program. All of those carry huge risks. What do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be in 5 years?
50K.
At least, right?
kidding.
It's going to be
I'm
more than
joking.
20%, right?
It'll be in six figures.
So then why are we chasing these yields? Like that's what doesn't make sense to me. And it's not like you get the yields up front. It's not like you're getting 10, 20% up front. You know what you get? You go and stake $1,000, you stake $10,000, you stake $1,000, you probably get what, $50 by the end of 6 months?
Yeah.
You know, you stake 10,000, you get $500 at the end of like 2 years. It's insane to me what you guys are chasing. Like it's the risk versus reward is so not there.
Rusty Bot said you can stake from Ledger. I stake from my Ledger. I feel pretty comfortable doing that.
there
But I
are-
stake
there-
directly
there-
on chain.
There are ways to do it. Me personally, I don't even want to connect my wallet to a layer one. I have staked before. I just realized I'm like, it's not even worth it, man. It's not even worth taking your crypto and then pairing your wallet to a chain. Like, I feel like there's points of failure. What if you pull up the wrong website? You get what I'm saying? Like, you think you're gonna go stake on Cardano, you pull up the wrong, you click on the Google Ads one at the top, you put your QR code in there to link the wallet, boom, it's all gone. I'm just saying that, like, your best way, just buy it on exchange, put it on a hardware wallet, put it in a safety deposit box. You're gonna get more percentage back in 4 years, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, huh?
Guaranteed. Not
Yeah,
financial advice.
That cup is very ugly. I hate the Raiders. You guys are so trash.
I hate Green Bay.
Yeah, because we beat that booty, man. What's up? I'm not. I haven't watched. I haven't watched a single game of football all year. I literally have not had time. And if you know me before this show, you would think that's crazy.
So real quick, a little shout out to the chat. We got Mark, Northwest Crypto, Bubba C21, Rob S, World's Lowest, Meek Vision, Glenn Stockley, Will, Brandon Rue, to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
What's Crypto, by the way? Never heard of that one. Crypto.
Crypto?
That's Creepy Doe's cousin.
Creepy Doe.
Let's start with the predictions. 2023 predictions. If you got one, throw it in the chat. So we're going to start here. We're going to start traditional markets, and we're going to work our way into crypto, all right? Then we have a video from our man Forrest. Inflation, this is from, Michael J. Burry, who's the famous guy behind the big short of 2008, right? The housing market short. So a lot of what he says has come true, man. I'm not saying he's Nostradamus or he's a prophet here, but he obviously does his research. So he tweeted, said, inflation peaked, but is not the last peak of the cycle. We are likely to see CPI lower, possibly negative in the second half of 2023, which is what Robin said.
Oh, my Lord.
And the U.S. in recession by any definition. Fed will cut and government will stimulate, and we will have another inflation spike. It is not hard. To which we're going to piggyback that off of Peter Schiff, our favorite macro analyst when it comes to gold. Predicts inflation about to get much worse. U.S. dollar facing one of its worst years ever. These are his predictions. The U.S. dollar index may have had a strong year, but it ended the year on a 6-month low, down 10% from its November high. This weakness will likely continue in 2023, with the dollar having one of its worst years ever. If I'm right, the inflation problem is about to get much worse. And he also commented on Wharton University finance professor Jeremy Siegel, who had shared his economic view. He said, Jeremy Siegel is wrong. Siegel thinks falling real estate prices means the inflation threat is over. That's falling asset prices. Consumer prices will keep rising, including those associated with home ownership like rent, mortgage, insurance, taxes, utilities, and maintenance. So let's stop there before we move on. So here's a Dixie, okay? So this is a dollar index, measures the strength of the dollar against other currencies. And what he's talking about is 100% true. Since May of 2021, we have ripped from $89 all the way up to over $114. And now we are down in the $103 range. And I have a line drawn, a horizontal line of support here. If we do crash, I do see $97 as being extremely strong support. But wouldn't that be a good thing for Bitcoin if the dollar falls, right? We see the correlation. The dollar weakens, right? The Dixie's down, Bitcoin goes up, and vice versa. Robin?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway from 2022 is that hey, you print money, you devalue the dollar, you increase price of Bitcoin, right? Basically, the more money that is injected into the system via printing, generally, and that pours into crypto. And we see it not only in crypto, but we also see it in high risk stocks. So that's it, man. Money printer turn on, crypto goes up.
So do you agree?
And-
Do you agree with the sentiment that inflation? We're literally. So what Michael J. Burry said is we're literally gonna be back in the 70s and 80s. Inflation starts to come down. Everyone's like, "Oh, we beat inflation."
But history has shown, and it wasn't just that there in the 80s. It's been, I think there's 3 different instances of that happening.
Well, not
With
to the
Fed-
level of what we're seeing.
We haven't had this level of debt
No,
either.
no. Well,
so,
with the
like,
bounce. Well, I'm talking about the bounce where inflation comes down, and then the Fed changes course of action, and then inflation immediately bounces back up. That has happened time and time again. They either overcorrect or underestimate that inflation is not secure, right?
I think one of the things Peter Schiff always talks about too is that they're using lagging data. They're not using current or up to date data, so everything that they respond to is like too far behind. So they overreact, and then by the time things are actually getting in line, they're already overcorrected, and then
Well,
it's
the
just,
thing is by the time they raise interest, by the time they raise the interest rate, the only thing that immediately changes is your home mortgages. But I mean, even on your home mortgage and your obviously your credit card mortgage, those are the ones that get affected like immediately almost.
So here's
But the thing is, you don't close on a house for 90 days.
Here's the
So
only
even the metric that changes immediately still takes 3 months. And then by the time this plays out through the system, by the time corporations decide to stop borrowing so much money, and then next thing you know, they're making cutbacks, you're talking about 6 months down the road. And Gareth was talking about, he's like, you don't see the effects of the interest rate hikes for 6 to 9 months. And I think that's the realistic number. So if you were to stop interest rates or increase interest rates right now, you don't really know what's going to happen until 6 months from now. And unfortunately, you can look at history, and it has been time and time again. We see inflation come down. The Fed overreacts. It's like, okay, cool. Everything's good now. They take their hands off the steering wheel, and hey, you veer right off course again.
So here's one example I can find, just one. So this is back in the 40s. We saw inflation get up to 9%. It came back down and then shot back up in 1946 to 18%, right? Outside of that, obviously the 70s going into the 80s, hasn't really happened, man.
No, look, it happened. Look, right there.
Where?
You said the 70s and 80s. Like,
Yeah, that's the stagflationary period. I'm saying
yeah,
that's
so
the
look,
last.
See, it went up to 12 and then dumped
That's what I'm
down.
saying. That's the most recent, right? Outside of the 40s, right? So yeah, the beginning of, I believe, the
that
beginning
was
of
World War II.
II.
By the way.
Inflation came down, and then towards the end of World War II, it spiked all the way up to 18%. So I'm saying we haven't seen that level of, oh, we beat inflation. Oh, no, never mind. Will we see it again this year?
But we didn't see that crazy run up in inflation until recently.
All of
So
this
you
changed 2008. It, like the whole way they operate completely changed 2008.
In 2008, we had 0.09% inflation.
Well, they started just they took on all that bad debt from the banks and put it on their balance sheet.
You can even see there. I mean, go back 1 month there. They went from
By year.
it went from four to 0, back up to 2.
Yeah, but these
2.7.
are typical fluctuations, right? It's not. I mean, you want to talk about anomalies. You
But
see spikes
here
like
was the
this
thing.
one, right?
We didn't have.
Okay, so wait.
Every
for
time-
example,
So, but here's the thing. We went when our inflation went up. What did we keep hearing? What was the headline? Headline over and over again: highest inflation since the 70s. Highest inflation since the 70s. Highest inflation in 40 plus years. And that's because we haven't had a straight run up in inflation since then.
yeah, but think of what happened. What happened in the 70s that could have caused that?
You had the oil crisis.
We got off the gold standard.
Well, plus you had the oil. Yeah. And
Got
you had
off the gold standard, and inflation took off because the dollar wasn't backed by anything.
Yeah, but at that point, nothing was backed by anything either.
It was supposed to be
Everything.
backed by gold, and then people started taking delivery on their gold, and
Well, the
It lost a
delivery
lot
on
of value.
gold was in the was it the 30s or 20s?
no,
Whatever.
late 60s.
No. They were backed by the where you could go to the government and exchange your dollar for gold. That ended back in the 30s. So they've done it. They've went off the gold standard twice.
No. That was so
That
in
was England, I believe.
late 60s, France came and took their gold out of Fort Knox, and that was like the cascading effect
Yeah,
that
but
took,
they
took us off the
there
gold standard.
there was in history where you could take your dollar and change it in for a dollar. The average citizen. Then at some point that got restricted back.
Actually
in, I think,
made
in the
gold
30s.
illegal. What you're talking about, they made it illegal to have gold, to have like just regular flat out gold. The only exception to that was collectible gold coins. You could have those.
That sounds right.
But 69, dude, I'm telling you, Nixon, he said he was going to take the dollar off the gold standard to protect it against the speculators.
But that was where the monetary process changed.
Well,
instead,
but that's like your value, and you're talking about CPI. It's like if your currency went from being backed by gold to being backed by nothing.
yeah, that's
value
where
of it changed a
that
lot.
moment changed. Was then where we basically didn't have any correlation to gold and the dollar anymore. It was all a fiat system and the trust of the government.
Well, and then
And-
2008, they decided that they're going to bail out the banks when they should have just let them fail. I mean, it would have been a lot more painful, but they should have.
You cannot let the banks fail, bro.
Yeah, man.
They would have listen to me, bro. If they would have let those companies fail, we would probably
We just delayed that. We decided that as a country, we're going to take on that debt.
I disagree with you. If they would have let those banks fail, bro, it would have been a
Yeah, it would've-
decade-long like depression, bro.
Yeah, they were talking
Well,
about
yeah,
not
it's a
even
cyclical thing.
They were
It's
talking
when's the
about
last
not
Great
even
Depression?
not even paying out checks for just
Bro, there
like
would have been
McDonald's
like
employees,
Civil War and it would have been
like-
bad, bro. It
Yeah.
would've-
Okay, well, they just delayed it. Now we got $33 trillion or
Well, here's the
$32
thing.
trillion
They-
dollars in debt.
It's not that they delayed it. They
Took
ate
on
it.
all the
They
debt.
ate it and they dispersed that money into the system. So they printed
How
it
did
out.
it get paid
and
out? It got
debased
paid out to all the highest people.
Yeah, but
You got
it came
share
from
buybacks,
it came from
bonuses.
They subsidized a lot of things too, like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They kind of brought those in, subsidized those. So now
These
the
were just
government
bad,
was-
poor banking practices that led to that, and then we took it on.
But here's the thing:
as a
when
country.
you say delay it, so then it's not like the banks are going to fail next 5 years. They're not going to fail in 10 years. So when the
exponential
time
growth, man.
So when the time comes, they're just going to do it again, and they're going to do
they're
it
going
again.
to try till it
And they're
fails,
going to
man.
do it again.
What's it like? What did they already? They already did that with COVID. They came through and just printed a ton of money.
But I don't
And
think in the next 20, 30 years that the entire financial system is going to crash and we're going to go in Armageddon. Hey,
Well,
Could,
they
but-
weaponized the dollar against Russia. I mean, they're trying to change.
I think the biggest threat to the U.S. economy is the petrodollar. If countries like Saudi Arabia stop doing petrodollar, I think the U.S.
they're
is
starting.
That,
They're
but that's
working on it.
speculation. We'll see. But this is part of the reason why I think U.S. should be open to cryptocurrency and blockchain, because everything right now is still denominated in U.S. dollar. Just capitalize on that, man. I don't know what it would look
Central
like. but-
banks have bought more gold this last year than they have since the 60s. Like, why? Why would you be doing that as a central bank if you weren't worried about? You would be buying US
well, here's the
treasuries,
thing.
dollars.
Here, I'll say this before we move on, because we got to move on. Every single currency is down. And this guy, Peter Schiff, is saying, going back to what he's saying the dollar is going to have its worst year. But we've seen, according to the Dixie, when the Dixie goes down, risk on assets like Bitcoin go up. Will we see more of that trend? Who knows? I want to go back to, I think there was one more thing Schiff said. Yeah, Schiff said, the last thing he said, the worst performing sectors of the stock market in 2022 will likely repeat in 2023. Now, what were the worst performing sectors? So we'll just look at the top three: communications, consumer cyclical, and technology. 40%, 37, 34, respectively. So will we see the same? If tech takes another 35% beating, that would be, I mean, you're talking about companies like Meta, Tesla. I believe Tesla is in tech, I believe. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Interesting. Moving on to what the IMF. They warn of a tough year ahead for the world economy, citing slowdowns in the US, EU, and China. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva shared the predictions for the U.S., EU, and China and the world economy in an interview. She said, quote, "This is what we see in 2023. For most of the world economy, this is going to be a tough year, tougher than the year we leave behind. Why? Because the three big economies, US, EU, and China, are all slowing down simultaneously." But she did go on to say the US is most resilient and the US may avoid recession. "We see the labor market remaining quite strong. This, however, a mixed blessing, because if the labor market is strong, the Fed may have to keep interest rates tighter for longer to bring inflation down." She also said next year will be a tough year for China, and that translates into negative trends globally. In the short term, bad news, China has slowed down dramatically in 2022 because of its tight zero COVID policy. For the first time in 40 years, China's growth in 2022 is likely to be at or below global growth. That has never happened before. "We expect 1/3 of the world economy to be in a recession. Even countries that are not in the recession, it would feel like a recession for hundreds of millions of people." What are your thoughts on this? I agree with the China thing, man. Obviously, China is the largest exporter in the world. There are a lot of companies take to manufacturing because of cheap labor.
I think year over year, I think China's actually gonna. I think they're gonna do well.
You
I think
they do well?
because they.
So do you think they're going to end their COVID things? The zero COVID policy?
They did outside of healthcare organizations and like the elderly living.
They've been getting too much pushback. They have to.
Yeah, they
All the riots and stuff,
already
yeah.
did. It's not, you know what I mean? Like the mandates are done there. Like, and they had quarantined so many people, and they had so many people scared. They lifted everything. I mean, all the hospitals are jammed full of patients. I was looking at some pictures. So, anyways, they just ripped the Band-Aid off, man. They're like, all right, let's just get this over with. And so the last 2 years, China has been operating at a smaller percentage than they were, because the entire economy, the entire population was feeling some kind of quarantine issues, whether or not directly or indirectly. And so now you have the economy opening up. And if you're going to look at it year over year, I think that China, if they don't have any COVID, if they don't reverse course on COVID protocols, it would just seem logical to me if they're at 100% business and the last 2 years they're at 50% and 80% or whatever it is, they're gonna have a monster economic year. I truly believe that. Now, whether or not that equates to some global, recession, whatever, or mitigates it, I don't think so. I think that the debasement of money, I think that the inflation, the issues between Russia and Ukraine, I think that is just a mess. And I think that is going to keep the world economy from, having some big rally or coming out of a recession. But I do think China's going to have a strong year, man. I truly believe that, just because they're going to go full steam ahead. They've been on lockdown for the last 2 years. So year over year, I think they're going to have more productivity.
And that would be good for the global economy. I think, I'm not a super global macro expert, but, All right, before we get into our man Forrest prediction, let's take a look at what I mentioned about GBTC. So Valkyrie wants to take over Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, said it's time for a change. Now, of course, Grayscale is, I believe, the most valuable asset that DCG owns. Crypto asset manager Valkyrie, which if you're not familiar, Valkyrie does have some ETFs, and they're in the crypto game, said is interested in sponsoring and managing Grayscale's publicly traded Bitcoin Trust. This is a quote, according to Mr. McClurg, who's the CEO. As the fund increases its holdings of GBTC, we are very interested in realizing the true value of the underlying Bitcoin for our investors and will actively pursue this goal on their behalf. The crypto executive also proposes a plan to improve the current management of GBTC, which includes allowing investors to redeem their shares at a fair price without delays and obstacles, in addition to lowering fees from the current 200 basis points to 75 and offering share redemptions in Bitcoin and cash. Valkyrie's proposal comes as Grayscale's parent company, Digital Currency Group, faces liquidity issues. The next is a quote, In light of recent events involving Grayscale and its family of affiliated companies, it is time for a change. Valkyrie is the best company to manage GBTC to ensure its investors are treated fairly. So this is what I was hinting at when I said there will be plenty of companies if DCG goes under and if they have to liquidate some of their assets that, hey guys, people will be lining up to get their hands on control over a 600,000 Bitcoin trust. You share that same sentiment as I do, Rob?
Man, I don't know. It's kind of scary too. I mean, biggest Bitcoin wallet, man. And they're talking about selling it and transferring, perhaps liquidating. Like, you got Valkyrie saying, hey, we'll just take it over. What does that look like? Are they going to manage it properly? Like, I know. And then on top of this is all traded on the stock exchange, the Bitcoin Trust. And I don't know, man. I'd feel kind of nervous if I had any Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And then here's the thing: if you felt nervous, do you sell? You sell right now at a 40% loss.
Hold it.
You hold it. I mean, I'm sure you're not. I don't think there's a situation. I don't see any situation where you would lose your money, like like get rugged or not be able to cash out. So I think that's okay. But I do see a scenario where instead of it being down 40%, it'd be down 80%, right? Especially if it changes hands and Valkyrie has some new vision for what they're going to do with the Bitcoin Trust, and it ends up not being the ideal structure, and people are irritated and pissed off, and they might sell. And then or I don't know, man. I just think that it could be possible that,
James said he's still holding. Unfortunately, he said.
I don't know, man. I just think it's uncertain times right now. If I was holding BTC Trust, I would be a little weary. I would be a little nervous, man. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's get into our man Forrest's predictions for 2023. So if you're not familiar with Forrest, he's the founder of Sistine Research, formerly known as Crypto Stackers. And he was also the former head of research at Coinmetrics, and he does a Forrest Fast 5 video for us every single Monday, highlighting either a certain project. And this week, it is his top crypto predictions for 2023. So let's take a gander here.
A couple of predictions for 2023. Keep in mind, I don't have a crystal ball that can see the future, but we can use some analysis to deduce some likely outcomes for 2023. And the first outcome I want to talk about is the potential or the likelihood of a Q1 rally in 2023. Here we're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, making a very common pattern. Now, note that you can always dance on the top of this downtrend line before really taking off, but we are at an area of support, and a relief rally or a further rally in 2023 does look likely, at least for the short term. Another piece of evidence that would support that would be the fact that our yield curve has inverted, which does, right, our yield curve inversion does necessitate a potential recession in 2023. However, what you'll notice is that very frequently the S&P 500 peaks after or in congruence with the actual bottoming of the yield curve. And it looks like just recently the yield curve may have bottomed. So this analysis would actually say that the top may not actually be in yet for the S&P 500. Now, we may not get a full all-time high out of the S&P 500, but we may get just a little bit of a rally to test some of those resistance levels. And then yet another piece of evidence to support the idea of a Q1 rally here for most markets, including crypto, would be this highs minus lows chart, where the New York Stock Exchange now has more stocks making new highs than new lows, which when you break out of this trend is usually indicative of a bottom. My next prediction for 2023 is that we will actually get a crash and or recession I say and recession in 2023. The yield curve has inverted to record levels. This is not looking good, but in the short term, I do think there's room for a rally before we get a worse crash. And I don't necessarily, I know I drew this all the way down here, but I don't necessarily think we'll go that low, probably to test these pre-COVID highs in this area of support first. I don't think it'll be nearly as bad as what people like to make it out, saying it's going to be the next 1929 and such. Next, I do think that in a period of recession, as well as a period of war and geopolitical turmoil, commodities usually perform very well. We've seen gold here forming a range. This is on the weekly chart, so this is going back to 2020, 2021, and then we just closed out 2022. You'll see that we did, in fact, push up above or off of the bottom of our range after a small deviation. And I do think that gold can continue to climb in this risky environment. Gold is usually a risk-off asset. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine, with Russia being a large producer of gold and whatnot. But usually in times of recession and in times of war, commodities such as gold and oil are going to perform pretty well. I do think oil could potentially see some turbulence in 2023. And then lastly, as far as crypto goes, I do think I have two more predictions here. Not lastly, I do think that Ethereum is going to outperform the vast majority of the market. Now, will there be some one-off cryptocurrencies that do 2, 3, 4, 5x's and just come out of nowhere? Certainly, we'd expect that in any market, especially the crypto market. But I do think that this trend, this is the Ethereum chart, the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. I do think this trend of Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin is probably going to continue into 2023, and that's because of the structural flows. There's a lot of forced selling of Bitcoin miner capitulation, whereas there's not that presence here in Ethereum because there are no miners, and you can stake and not have to sell to cover the cost of electricity. And then lastly here for crypto, I do think that the end of the year, the second half and really the fourth quarter of the crypto of 2023 is going to be a time frame where we see a rally out of the crypto market, and that's because the Bitcoin halving coming up in March of 2024. So this last quarter here of 2023 could see a bid. Now, what happens before then for Bitcoin? Maybe we get a little bit of a rally. Maybe we get another low. Maybe it's just boring and sideways. It's unclear. But I do believe that once we get between 6 and 9 months out from the Bitcoin halving, we'll see a more confident bid come into the crypto space. So those are my predictions for 2023. I hope you enjoyed.
If you're curious on what that sound was, I was looking at this really amazing video here. Take a look.
Now here you go again. You say you want your free.
Can't play that sound.
What the hell?
Copyrighted.
Oh, well, we're about to get striked. Well, I'm happy while we were watching predictions, Robin was watching a video of a guy running on a train, whatever the hell he was doing, with an umbrella.
It's
a heat
a
gun?
leaf blower, bro.
Doesn't seem. I mean, I guess it would work.
Yeah.
The future, man. We were supposed to have flying cars, and this is what we get.
I mean, a flying umbrella. So, interesting. Forrest thinks ETH is going to outperform. Continue to outperform Bitcoin. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't see. Honestly, I don't see a situation where it doesn't. I mean, right?
Well,
I mean, barring some kind of
okay.
Okay.
I kind of contradicted myself here because I'm about to give my little prediction for 2023. So I think in 2023, and it's all tied back to what we're talking about with ETH, I think what we're going to see more of is, so I do think the stock market, traditional markets are going to go down. Companies are going to start pulling money out, right? They already are. And they understand that blockchain and crypto is here to stay. And you got a lot of companies that are already integrating it into their everyday work or their companies now. But what you're going to see is they're going to start picking certain blockchains that outside of proof of work that you can stake and delegate and essentially have a say in the future of that chain, whether it's EIP or improvement proposals or changes to the governance or whatever the case may be. So I think we're going to see is, let's take, for example, this is of course just an example. Let's say Sony decides, hey, we're going to start implementing more blockchain in the future, and Hedera Hashgraph is our chain. I think they're going to go scoop up a bunch of Hedera. They're going to use that to stake and validate the network and to have a say in the future of that network. What's the biggest layer one? It's Ethereum. They're already starting to be OFAC compliant. A lot of people have come out and said ETH is a commodity. They're not worried about the SEC coming down on them. Can I see them coming in, scooping up a crap load of Ethereum, knowing that maybe not next year, but in 3, 4, 5 years, their company or parts of the company will be moving on to the blockchain? It makes sense. Prices aren't going to stay down forever. 2023, I think, is a year you're going to see a lot of institutions start to accumulate projects that they plan on building on. What are your thoughts on that? That's my prediction for 2023.
So ETH is gonna rally because institutions are buying
I'm saying
Ethereum.
it could.
To, I mean, okay.
What's your prediction for 2023, Robin?
For Ethereum or for
anything? Just anything.
Well, just to stay on Ethereum, first of all, I think Ethereum was king of DeFi before. And I get it. You had Phantom rise up. You had the Terra Luna ecosystem before during the run up. But I think there was just so much money in the system that people were just looking for something new to dump their money in. And DeFi was new, flashy, and, a lot of gains there during the run up of the last bull market. And I think Ethereum is king on DeFi. Do you think Ethereum is king on DeFi?
Right now, yes.
Yes. Do you think?
I think it's not even close.
So it's not even close. Okay.
Now, did DeFi, just to clarify, what's the purpose of DeFi?
Decentralized finance.
Right. But the idea would that be to avoid being regulated? Or not necessarily regulated, but like
it's just to transact without
Trustless
using,
finance.
Yeah.
so
to
on a
transact without
blockchain
banks.
where 60% of the time you can get blocked if you're interacting with
Well,
an
but you
address.
gotta, us, we think that way. The institutions like that.
I know the
they want to
institutions
be
like that,
compliant.
but that is against the point of DeFi then, right?
Well,
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you can't stop my Uniswap transaction. Doesn't
if
matter.
your wallet's blacklisted on Ethereum, you can.
Okay. You can't stop my Uniswap. You can't stop my my loop ring transaction.
I don't know.
Uniswap has a couple blacklisted wallets.
But if the Ethereum validators have blacklisted wallets, it doesn't matter what
the
protocol you
Ethereum
use.
validators aren't blacklisting wallets. I get it. There's a story of it. And there are some examples, but I'm just saying
60% of them are not validating transactions that come from wallets that have been sanctioned by OFAC. That is a fact. You cannot argue with me on that.
And that's including wallets associated with mixing services, right?
that.
I don't know.
No.
Let's say you're the
That was whole
Ayatollah of
idea,
Iran.
right? People were using Tornado Cash.
So with
Cash was wallets.
Tornado
Yeah,
Cash,
so-
they're stopping with
Mixer
that particular DApp. With that particular DApp, the legislation that was passed was specifically for Tornado Cash. Didn't touch any other DeFi sector.
Yeah, but how far? I mean, what if that money was traced back to Tornado Cash at some point? That Ethereum.
That's what I'm saying. Like now, you
have dirty Ethereum, but you didn't. It wasn't you that made it dirty.
I mean, you could say that about anything. You could say that about, like, hey, did it touch a Russian bank account at some point in time? Did some oligarch have it through 15 different transactions later? Did it happen across some of his companies that an oligarch had? At the end of the day, like, DeFi is going to be no different than regular finance if you're going to sit here and spin a giant web of, hey, it interacted with this. At the end of the day, your transactions on Tornado Cash can be frozen. But,
Yeah, but
it doesn't. Okay, here's the thing. We're getting off track, bro.
No, we're not.
DeFi is going to be king. It was king before on Ethereum. It's going to be king again, bro.
But it was king on a platform until they started when you could actually not be censored,
But I argue we're not censoring DeFi.
No, the wallets.
It
the
doesn't
Tornado
matter
Cash,
if it's
that's kinda what
DeFi,
I'm going for.
CeFi, BFi, or KeyFi. Anything that gets validated on Ethereum's mainnet can be blocked, whether it's through DeFi, CeFi, or FFi. That's the point.
That's what I was trying to make. Yeah.
That's the point. The point is, it is on the main net, the main chain, right? So unless you have some way of going around that, which I'm not a developer, so I don't know, that's going to be an issue. But to us, it's an issue. To institutions, they like it because they want to stay compliant and they want to be able to, hey, maybe they can sway OFAC to sanction. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. For me personally,
Okay.
that scares me.
Okay. For the markets for 2023, people, the average citizens, are going to use DeFi in our space. The
Yes.
crypto people are going to start using DeFi.
Yes.
There's going to be more people using DeFi. There's going to be more people sending money abroad because it's cheaper and faster than the regular finance versus a wire transfer.
Yes.
And I think we're going to be more money in that system. Now, whether or not, how many out of the millions of transactions do you think were blocked? Maybe a handful, maybe 10, maybe 100, whatever it is. You
But
can,
that's the point of
okay, that's
crypto,
a philosophy.
Robin.
But what I'm saying is that for transactions, for money, for how much is this sector gonna grow? I don't give a damn about like if 10 wallets get blacklisted, 100. I'm talking about the millions of transactions, the billions of dollars.
How could you
that are
not
gonna-
give a damn about those being restricted?
I'm talking about the price of your prediction. I'm not talking about what's good for the space. I'm talking about how much money is going to be in DeFi next year.
Yeah, but the idea is, are people going to trust DeFi on Ethereum with Ethereum complying and shutting down these wallets? Like,
I
with
think
the way
that's a
they
good
have?
question, man. I don't know. You know, the diehard crypto ethos people, I would say no.
Right. The ones that probably
But how
are
many
the
of
ones
those
that
are
move
there?
in a lot of
How many of
those
those are there, and how much of the market do they make up? That's the question.
So you think that because of these blacklisted wallets, there's going to be substantially less amount of money in DeFi because of that?
I think it might move to different chains.
I think I barely know this story, and I'm deep into crypto, and I barely know what wallets that got attacked. And all I'm saying is that people are going to use DeFi to circumvent traditional financial systems, and there's going to be a lot more money coming into it. So when I look at 2023, there's going to be a lot more value moving on DeFi networks. And I don't think that your average consumer really cares. I've never heard outside of crypto. I've never heard of people being concerned about sanctioned wallets in their own personal finance. I don't think it's a problem for Joe Schmo
You're right.
sending money
It's not.
to somebody in Brazil. I just think that it's an issue when it comes to privacy security, but it doesn't change the growth of the sector in its entirety moving forward.
Did you see people sending small amounts of ETH from Tornado Cash to doxed wallets?
Yeah, so
Celebrity
they can
wallets.
blacklist them. Yeah, I think the issue I have, and Robin's right. The average person not even going to know that 60% of the validators are black. Are
They will if
are
they watch
responding.
this show.
But my point is, a majority of them are going to see, oh, I can lend my money instead of the bank sending my money out. I can lend my money through a DeFi program like Aave, where I still keep my private keys and I earn blah, 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 versus the person who truly understands it and then knows that, yes, it's only a few wallets. Yes, it's domestic terrorists or whatever you want to call them. But the minute you give that power and the minute these validators start to reinforce these sanctions, who knows, man? We saw what happened in Canada. Anyone that was out there supporting their accounts got frozen. Who's to say they're not going to do that with just regular people? If you do something that, and that's the whole problem with CBDCs too, that everyone's worried about, including myself. So I think that's an issue. But to Robin's point,
Okay.
the average investor, I don't think
So
even knows there's
my prediction for 2023 is that DeFi is going to rally and it's going to stay on the Ethereum network.
Okay.
I don't give a damn about these blacklisted wallets. I'm just saying that like from a purely analytic, hey, what's going to have a ton of money in it? What's going to blow up? It's DeFi, it's on Ethereum. That's my prediction, and I think that it's gonna be the year of DeFi, man.
Why do you think that? Like, what's your reasoning?
I just think that
You think it's going to be more from like institutions getting into DeFi, or you think it's more consumers?
I think it's consumers.
Consumers.
Consumers are going to start using services, but also we're starting to see that institutions are laying the groundwork for people are laying the groundwork to offer these services, the companies, and they're offering interoperability as well. So
That's interesting. Sistine Research Forest said once ETH staking is unlocked, ETH will flow to non-OFAC compliant validators. I don't know. We'll see. I hope it does, but we'll see.
this is a growing space, and at its core, Ethereum is decentralized, and whatever Congress wants to put in its place, it'll flow past it, man. And if Congress wants to sit here and say, hey, you can't transact with this platform, you can't transact with this, we're going to sanction this, it's decentralized, man. Ethereum is decentralized. It is a commodity. It will flow past it because it works on the internet. And we've seen time and time again as other countries try to ban Bitcoin. It doesn't work. It's a decentralized network. And so I wholeheartedly believe, I don't give a fuck what any country wants to do. Ethereum is decentralized. It's going to move, and people are going to transact with their finances on there. Period. End of story. You can sit here and put up legislation if you want. Cool. It's going to move past it, bro. And history has shown that.
I don't know if I agree with it being decentralized.
It's decentralized. It's not. I don't think it's as decentralized when it was proof of work, but I think it's still decentralized.
I mean, they shut it down. They reversed it, didn't they? They reversed it. And
Where is this conversation
Reversed
going, bro?
what?
This conversation's not moving, bro.
Well, it's moving just in the
In
side
circles,
direction.
I mean,
bro.
like,
It's moving in the Robin direction. It took 7 exits the wrong way. Anyways, we're actually done for today. So, this is an interesting conversation on ETH, and I'm sure it'll come up again in the future here. But guys, go check out our merch store if you want some sweet crypto and Sin City crypto merch. Also, we got to change that banner, by the way. No longer 10% off. But if you're a Whale member, you still retain your 10% off for as long as you're a Whale member. Also, guys, go follow us on social media. We are pretty active on Twitter at SinCityCrypto1. All the rest of the links are in the description of this video. Kyler. Friends, family, friends. We thank you guys so much for starting your new year with us here at Sin City Crypto. We love you guys. Come back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll have Magic Internet Money joining us for some TA and charts. On behalf of myself, Robin, Kyler, love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. What's this quabble in the chat? Children in the chat, no fighting. We are one community. Let's respect each other. Love you guys.